Oh yeah, you wanna fuck with me? Oh yeah, upper punch, okay punch, ultimate slide punch, boom. Yeah, you're dead. Your shield don't affect on me. Laser beams. Oh yeah, buke. You're only losing laser beams. Upper punch, mega punch, forward punch. No one can stop me. Big giant did. Yes, I just made that intro because that's actually what I've been doing for the past few days with this game. With these collectibles, actually fighting like actual action figures. Hello everyone, welcome to my review. And before I also get started, I also need to take a minute and point out a note. And that note is simple. Fuck Activision. And I have to say that because of the game in question today. Remember, I am definitely not really supporting Activision Blizzard. If you want to know more about that, there will be a link down in the description down below of that video. Because it's kind of fucked up. Why? But pretty much it's not hard to say why. But that's not going to stop me from at least doing what I love to do with this game. Because this game means pretty much a lot, even though, and yes, I got this, but I'm just getting ready for one thing, which is this one right here, so I can kind of at least do this much properly. But this game means very much a lot. Now, a lot of you guys might be confused on what on earth am I talking about. Well, as you guys may recognize, these action figures, or rather more like toys, these are Skylanders. In today's review, as already stated, we are going to review Skylanders. And oh boy, Skylanders themselves is a very interesting topic. Even without the game we're talking about today, which is the second game in the series, Skylanders Giants. AKA a game series that I do hold dear to my heart, despite what's going on with the developers of Activision Blizzard, because they can go fuck themselves. And also because, well, let's just say Skylanders is kind of a very interesting turning point in a bunch of ways. What I mean by that? Well, let's start off on where Skylanders come from. So the first thing you should know is Skylander is actually a continuing series of a certain character. That character is Spyro the Dragon, and also Cinder, but I don't remember. I think Cinder was in a Spyro game, and yes, Spyro. Now, for those who do not know, Spyro was pretty much appeared in the 90s underneath PlayStation. And, you know, Spyro, they just released a trilogy for this little dragon. However, what many people don't know is Spyro actually, and no pun intended, Spyro out of hand, literally no pun intended, but that was a good one, when all of a sudden he was literally shifted out of the limelight, but not in a very good way, but at least in a memorable way, which is of course the Skylanders, because obviously Activision, who owns right now, is the proper owner of Spyro and a bunch of other properties. Sorry, I blanked there. They wanted to continue the dragon in a very interesting way by shoving him out of the spotlight. But they also continue it in a very interesting way. And of course, the reason for this interesting way is because they later on adding brand new characters to a certain series. That series being Skylanders, which was introduced. I forgot it was introduced. I know this came out in the late 2000s and early 2010s. So please correct me if. In fact, I do got the box. I also got my phone here, so I could correct myself whenever I can. But, you know, you get when they came up. And their last appearance was literally, if I can remember correctly, was during the middle of the Wii U's lifespan. which tells you how long they have been forgotten for over decades. But yet, I'm able to not only buy these things, but I got a lot to show you with these toy things to talk about. But you might be wondering, Floxcat, why did this disappear, and why does this look like an amiibo? The answer to that question is actually literally the same answer, because this is literally the beginning of a cash cow that's now literally extinct, and was extinct for a very good reason. This is because this was the start of the Toys to Life scenario, because also these toys come from Toys for Bob, I think, even though they don't tell you this in the thing. I'm actually looking at copyright thing, it'll tell you. Wait, and also it actually tells you, oh, so it did start in 2011. Okay, very good. I say that, oh yeah, this is the first original one, so yeah, because of the green texture thing. But either way, Skylanders will become one of the most infinite games to introduce a brand new thing. That is, of course, the Toys for Life. Okay, first of all, if this camera seems wobbly, I have it face first, so if it's going to look weird, it really is. I should move this right here. So the first things first is the Toys of Life start out with Skylanders. And for those who do not know, Toys for Life, hopefully you guys can see this. I think this is much more better. Toys for Life is literally a genre that evolves around, well, not even toys. I wouldn't say these are actually toys. They're more like figures, to say the least, that first started out with the Skylanders. And the reason for this is very obvious and simple. It's because, well, literally, look at it. It's literally fun to look at, and they actually come in pretty good character designs as well. But because the concept was making riches to kids, many companies, especially two major big titans, realized how much Activision and Toys for Bob was making, and they're like, ching ching, this is great. Except only one of them survived, which was literally Nintendo. We'll get into that in a bit. The next, and of course Skylanders somewhat ruled it until Disney came in with their own property. And yes, for a reminder, Star Wars is owned by Disney now. They literally also try and milk it with also Marvel when they start doing Disney Infinity. Yeah, it's Infinity. Even though now Infinity is fucking dead. No, I'm not joking. This is actually a real thing. And yeah, I got a freaking... I don't even have Infinity, by the way. So this toy is useless. Even worse, if you guys have been paying attention to my background, and you'll see in a bit, because I'm going to wobble this camera to death, I even have the Infinity board, but I don't have the Infinity Update game that evolves with it. And apparently there's versions of it too, like 3.0, and they don't even do it like a normal update. They just give you disc. Yeah, there's no reason why this also failed, and actually is more forgotten than frickin' Skylanders. Now, Amiibo, aka Nintendo's attempt, was the most best. The reason why is because you can use this even without Smash, which is what it is used for. Like, for example, in Pokemon Tournament, you can actually get money prizes. In other games, like, I'm trying to think, there's actually a lot. And that is actually a very good, fair point and stuff. So in general, yeah, Skylanders was the predecessor to Amiibo. Not officially, fully, because of, Nintendo and Activision, but still, that's actually a fact. But why did it fail? Well, there's a couple of many reasons. For one, over time, the games literally start locking out these guys, I think, if I recall correctly. But even then, all of a sudden, their variety has been falling down. They didn't have much use in other games, and in the end, you start collecting them. Hell, even my desk is a perfect example. Like, it's literally filled with Skylanders. Even though I don't mind, because I love collecting these. These are probably going to get super rare soon. But also because of that, and their ants, and the fact that they fill up space and really they don't have other purposes other than that game, it started to fall flat. That's kind of also why the best one, which I didn't mention, but that's only because I didn't have the game, even then, I don't really count it that much as part of this, is why Lego was much more better with the situation, because you can still have Legos and play with them even without the video game part, even though they too fall flat. And another big reason was, well, the fill up space part. You might be thinking, well, that makes sense, but here's the other problem: plastic. Again, I'm not very much a big Earth guy, to say the least. I mean, we got time. I mean, yeah, we need to clean up the environment, but we got time. Our Earth is not going to explode in 15 seconds. But it is kind of bad when your thing literally have like this and too much of it. Like, seriously, there are like, literally, I'm actually still shocked to this day that not only did I'm able to get Skylanders and all of them, like, I don't have one Pacific Giant now, but I know I'm able to now get him later because they're still selling. There's tons of places that still sell them. Mostly just places who just still have them in particular. Mainly junkie lots or jockey lots, or even like somewhere in a mall that sells old video games. Literally, I'm not joking. That's actually a place. But because of that is surprising, but also shows just how bad this is, because there's no other way to recycle these other than if you want to keep them. And there's some debate towards that, but that did help, especially since kids will later on hop on the next Target. That's the reason why Nintendo did it best with the amiibo thing. You don't really need to have the thing to play the game. That's very much the point. Like, for example, when I talk about my previous review with the Animal Crossing, you don't need those cards to get Paprika or Rosie, even though I highly recommend it if you want those characters. You can just wait your ass off for a while. These games do require it, and it's much more than you think. That's why I recommend, if you guys ever going to play any of the Skylanders, you probably need to do one major thing, which I will show you, and that is the first part about how these Skylanders work. And that is, no doubt, the elements. The elements is a big role in Skylanders, and it's pretty big with these guys. Like, as you can tell, there are, let me count it for you. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh yeah, there's 8 elements. Yeah, I just counted it in my head. You see, and all of them are very unique. All of them are unique in playstyle as well, and it's very interesting to say the least. So I'll go in order of what I think they go in order, but don't hold me to it. First off, there's Life, which is actually kind of more of a like you think of grass type Pokemon, but there's also the element of Life. There's the actual Earth element, and yes, side note, these elements do follow a little bit of the Greek and major classic elements. So there's Earth. There's water, although water could be either ice or just plain water, but it makes sense, I mean, that's why even in my series, combine water and ice as the same thing, like Pokemon does in cards. This is fire, and you can already tell because, back of it and wind. And yes, this is literally a blue Zeus at this point. It's literally a blue Zeus. I think I already talked about Earth. Yeah, I think I did. Earth. I'm trying to think. No, that's actually it. But anyways, yes. And then, of course, we got the other ones. Then we got with the... What was this called? The dark type or the dead type? I don't know. I'm blanking on it, but yeah, this is the dark one and the death one, the skull one, and blah, blah, blah. This is the magic one. Yep, and it has pretty much the only one that doesn't have too much of, have unity and all that, but it has some very interesting effects on its thing, of course. And finally, we got the technology one, the obviously tech type. Which, for example, and man, I'm going to break these by accident if I don't be careful. So pretty much, yeah, there's a lot of elements to this, of course. The way to sell these, and again, sorry for my camera, is you gotta put it right on the portal here. Now, for Skylanders' sake, this portal, they have multiple types of portals. They even update this one for Giants, where they do connect to the system. It's kind of weird, but all you have to do is do this, and they put on your screen. And that's flash screen, of course. And obviously I'm going to let it play through here. And yeah, it glows in the dark. It literally is what you think. And you take it off any time. And you obviously, do the whole collecting thing. So yeah, that is the basics on how Skylanders work. But we're also talking about Skylanders Giants. And heck, even with the Giants, there are added bonus. But first, let's talk about the Giants, which was actually at the time of the second game, the biggest addition. And yes, there are actually, like literally as you saw on my table, I have literally almost every single type except for the humpback whale one. If you guys see my joke of my recent Poke movie, which yes, I'm also probably planning to do a Poke movie around following this. But anyways, this is Eyebrow, of course, my favorite because he actually looks like literally the best, weirdest motherfucker ever, but also the best. Like, he plays very well too. But anyways, this is a giant, and they're obviously bigger. Like, there's nothing even, like, even in game is much more bigger than this, but yeah, like, you can compare it to it. And the best part about it is, of course, that they even glow too. Like, see, his eyeball glows. It's kind of interesting to say the least. Like, really, actually one of my favorite. But of course, the other ones too glow. Though, side note, they are not good because of the quality they are. Because again, they're very old. And heck, we're not even done. Next up, we have, and I forgot to get, so I'll make it quick. These, which are golden ones, which I never even knew they had golden ones. These are known as Legendaries. And of course, they don't really do much. They just change the color. It's like pretty much a shiny Pokemon at this point. This even rips off kind of like Pokemon in this way. And yes, as you may have noticed through my discussion, I have literally two of this and this. Probably because this was accidental, but I still wanted the character. And this is because I actually jokingly love. This is my favorite Skylander stealth elf, to say the least. And heck, like I said, there's nothing too major about these. They're just black and gold. Not really gold, but you know what I mean. And then, hell, that's not even the rarest one. Then we got this. And you might be wondering, why is this one rare? Let me show you. Boom! If I can show it, yep. See? Boom! It glows. I'm trying to show it glowing. Yeah, you can still see it, but it's crooked. But yeah, it's known as the Lifeware, and even bigger infector with that. But yeah, that is the basic of these things. And for the most part, you can see why they were still cool as a kid. To me, they were still cool. I don't care even with the whole Activision Blizzards, even though really, fuck Activision if you don't want to mean. But for most part, this is why I loved them as a kid. Like, I even played Skylanders way before. It's like one of my oldest games. I'm willing to even say that it kind of rivals Pokemon Y as my favorite game, but don't get it fooled. Pokemon Y is always going to be my favorite video game of all time. Not just Pokemon, but all time. I think this is probably Skylanders Giants probably second to that because it's a cool concept. But and while I added, I'll probably just go ahead and play this while I talk. Not all the way, but you see Nitpicks though that, which by the way is recommended to play, of course, because it's the Wii. I don't know if the Wii U did have it. Also, by the way, one more thing. Apparently, the 3DS had it, which makes sense doing the timing, although I don't know why. I also put that there. Probably going to play it afterward a little bit on my own later on, even though it's getting late. I got work tomorrow. But I'm also being late with the video, so let's go ahead and use the rest of the minutes to talk normally like this. Well, I also fiddle with these because, seriously, I've been fiddling with these. This is how much I love these. But let's talk about the actual game itself. And it's easy to talk about it because, to be honest, while the game is fun, it's pretty standard what you expect. So, as you might guess, this is an action platforming. Even though there's only one thing that they removed from the platforming. The jumping part. Like, you only use bounce pad. But that's because it's also a beat 'em up. Like, you literally do actually what I was doing with this. Except, well, Skylanders, just other monsters. And, again, this is coming from a guy who only plays Skylanders Giants. So, I don't know what happened in the first game. But it pretty much also shows that you can still get in the second game easily. Like, there will be the first actual part will be confusing if you haven't played the actual first game. But the rest of the story is, you it doesn't connect too much with the first game to the second game. So it's still original for those who want to jump in. And pretty much the basic of the story, it's actually, you might think, oh, this is a childish story, but actually it's actually pretty funny. I mean, it is childish, is what you expect, is a cartoon kind of joke story, but it actually is very interesting. Like, the whole plot is, the reason why the Giants haven't been seen until the second game was there's a legend involving a robot. You had to face off a bunch of robots, and the main villain, like, all the characters are likable, to be honest. Even if you're not a child, I kind of do like it. Especially, here's the fun part: the male raccoon who you talk to, Flint. He is voiced by none other than the same voice actor of Joe from Family Guy. I actually don't remember his name. I think it was Steph MacFarlane, if I'm correct. And he does Flint is the most funniest character you see in video games because he's really that funny. But there are also some other actual very good characters to it. Like, Chaos is pretty much a good villain. He's one that you don't take too serious, but he does later on get very serious power. Like, there is a little bit more at stake in this game, I don't think, compared to the previous one. But again, that's just me because, you get in. His assistant is also pretty good. There's a lot of kids' jokes, of course, but there's a lot of good parts to it. Like, there's a lot of heart in this game, which is kind of ironic since the game was made by fucking Activision, jokingly speaking. But still, it's a good story, but what about the gameplay itself? Actually, it's easy, but there are some little nitpicks. The first big major nitpick is one of the major problems. Believe it or not, for those who do not know, freaking Eyebrow and the other ones I show, except for this one, which is actually the most you can find. You might be wondering, Foxcat, why is this the most you can find if you're searching for this game? Well, here's the answer. Because this is actually part of the starter set. When you first come with the game, you actually start off with 2 figures and 1 giant. Or, well, actually 3 figures. 2 normal, small ones, and big one. And the order, all of it is you're supposed to collect. And the reason why I bring up the elements is there's actually moments where you're locked out of a certain area and you need a specific Skylander to go through it. Which is a good idea. It has a lot of replay value, of course, and that's what the game also tends on. Which is smart because, you gotta deal with these collectible toys, of course. But it comes annoying a little bit. There's also some puzzles that are hard to do. Some are tricky. At least they put their effort into it. Not bad, of course. There is a kid's game. It's like Kirby level puzzling. A little bit tough, but you can still manage to get through it. I know that's a bad example, but, Kirby, especially on both games, Kirby and Skylanders, but that's how the basic comparison is. And the beating up sections are fun. There's a lot of enemies designs and a lot of good enemies you deal with, some with unique battles and stuff. But the nitpick is, as you may guess, there's at least 3 nitpicks I have. The first nitpick is how to evolve them. Now, usually when you battle with these guys, you level them up. Makes sense. Obviously, it's a beat 'em up, and not just not ARG. My bad. I keep confusing RPG. But the way you actually level them up to this, which you don't get actually on the first round, gotta make sure I keep this thing up, is because, yeah, that was my flipping, rock candy freaking Wii remote. Anyways, back to the point. The way you actually level them up is you gotta go to the ferry and buy it out, which is fine. Like, you won't get money, you purchase upgrades, that's fine. My nitpick is it takes a while to get these jewels. These jewels are not like, oh, there's a 100. Well, there is a 100 amount because you have to literally earn up. And not only that, my biggest issue with that is every Skylander has its own money account. You don't just combine all the money account you get. Each Skylander has its own wallet, is the best way I put it. And the way you level them up is their own wallet. You can't borrow other Skylanders. Like, I kid you not, my freaking Eyebrow, which was max, but it makes sense because, side note, another problem is since now these guys are pre-owned, they have a lot of money. Luckily, you can still register them. I had to figure out on my own. Easy, just use the minus button and go to their stats and da-da-da. Which is a good thing because it goes to my second issue. But still, the fact that you don't save up the money combined, that's kind of a ugh. Now, I don't know if they fix it in the other games later on down the line, but still, that's a ugh. But a second bigger oof is the hats. Now, the hats are a mixed bag. One hand, for those who don't know, they're customizable and you can put them in, they're funny, and also they actually do something in the game, give you big, awesome boosts. The other problem is they're funny and they look stupid. And I literally, luckily I was able to find out because you also do this in the stat, and they're collectible as well. But I literally changed every single person who had a hat on them, even the new ones I later bought. Because I'm not having them wearing hats. They look ridiculous. And even then, you probably don't even need the hats because there's easy mode and all that. And my final oof is the fact that you really do need to get all these Skylanders and some of the Giants because you have to switch out. And while that may not be sounding a problem, reminder, my freaking Wii U is far, like this far. I had to get up, go up there, and da-da-da, which is fine for me, but I don't think someone wants to do that. And you really do have to switch because the game encourages you to switch. Not always, you can still go without it, but it really encourages you to switch. That's why there's a lot of good replay value. And there's tons of things to do with the game. There's a lot of fun mini games, like the Sky Scones. It's like a card game that should exist because it's actually pretty fun and stuff. It reminds me a lot of like what now Yu-Gi-Oh did with their Link summoning, but trust me, you have to see what I'm talking about in order to understand. There are actually more stuff, like you can actually pilot a jet. There's literally created this level designs and all that. Like there's so many positives to outweigh the negative, but the biggest thing is the reason why is, again, this is a kid's game. And actually now replaying it, like trust me, I have good memories from it and I'm glad I got to re-enjoy it. Like again, this game might be my second favorite game of all time behind Pokemon Y and also possibly behind New Horizons because I've been loving that thing. I don't remember my previous review what I said about that with that rate. But as you might guess, that's actually the reason why these things flop. Like, and it's even worse when they also try to bring out new mechanics because then, and don't get me wrong because I could be wrong, but then they bring out the Crap Force, then swap them, and then I know the last one was them in carts, which I don't know how that played. But there's obviously a reason why, like I said, the Amiibos did much more better because again, you don't have to have the Amiibos to play the game. And I think that's the major issue with Skylander. Because at the time, they were focusing more on kids. Which is fine. Like, trust me, there are a lot of memories made with this. Even I, despite though I was literally the end of middle school and started in high school, had fun memories with this. Like, literally, I started this at the beginning of high school. Just saying. But because of how, like, what are you going to do afterwards? The only thing now for these things is collector items. And that's bad, especially since you need a bunch to play the game. And yes, I get it what you're going to say. Yeah, Floxcat is an old game. It's no longer in the stores and blah, blah. Touché point. But that's even more problem and more forgetful because, again, these things, even though I got them good cheap, and I mean good cheap, it's still a lot of money. Like, guess how much I had to pay for my recent amount of Skylanders, including, like, even the gold ones. And I think I even have it here because I actually had to help. And sorry for the beep beep part. I gotta make this quick because the video's almost over. Is because the guy, yeah, I paid that much. And yeah, I calculated. That's $77 for the figures. And here's the even crazier part. The guy actually went online and looked up those prices, those actual prices for those Skylanders, even though I highly doubt they're more or less than that. But still, yeah, that's how much money you had to buy to have most of all of these. And let alone you have to literally buy the freaking thing, the correct portal, and the game. That's a lot of money. So not only because of a lot of money, but just, the But like I said, is it worth it? Well, if you're a collector and if you truly want to give it a shot, yes, but good freaking luck. I just got scot-free lucky. But if you don't want to deal with plastic, think these guys look weird, and you don't want to deal with a freaking eyeball giant, then this game is not for you. But still, you have to admit, at least Skylanders give us amiibo. And that is actually a true fact. And, it's still a good game no matter what you think. But yes, this game is good, but it's dependent on your taste. But anyways, this has been Flosscat, and I'm snapping out here. Bye-bye. Self-help. Bye-bye.